The Silent Vanguard. The observation deck of the Galactic Union's flagship, Eternal Vigilance, offered an unparalleled view of the stars. Supreme Commander Zix Terrell stood with his forearms clasped behind his back, his iridescent scales reflecting the light of distant suns. The Arthosian leader's compound eyes studied the holographic display, showing the small blue planet that had become the subject of heated debate among the Union's High Council. "Earth," he said, the word almost distasteful on his mandibles. Such an unremarkable world for such a troublesome species. Ambassador Nelith of the Cephian Collective nodded, her luminescent tendrils pulsing with agreement. The humans have always been peculiar. Resourceful, yes, but fragmented. Their inability to unify under a single government has limited their expansion to just 17 colony worlds. Zix Terrell clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. And yet they continue to petition for representation in the Galactic Union, as if 17 worlds could compare to empires spanning thousands. The flagship's sensors chimed, and a junior officer approached with nervous haste. "Supreme Commander, we've detected unusual energy readings from Earth's moon." Zix Terrell waved a dismissive hand. "Probably another of their primitive mining operations. The humans are constantly digging for resources their inefficient technology wastes." "This is different, sir," the officer insisted. "The readings suggest large-scale construction, possibly military in nature." The Supreme Commander's interest flickered briefly. "Military." The humans signed the Proxima Treaty. "They're limited to defensive capabilities only." "Send a diplomatic inquiry," Ambassador Nelith suggested. "Perhaps they're merely upgrading their outdated orbital defenses." "Perhaps," Zix Terrell agreed, though something about the officer's report disturbed him. Humans were known for their unpredictability, if nothing else. "Schedule a routine patrol near the Sol system." Nothing too provocative. 3 standard weeks later, the patrol ship Swift Justice vanished without a trace near Earth's outer asteroid belt. Its final transmission contained only fragmented data, but the energy signature readings matched nothing in the Union's extensive databases. When the Union sent a follow-up investigation fleet, they too disappeared. For the first time in centuries, Zix Terrell felt something he had all but forgotten: unease. Dr. Miranda Chen stood in the command center of Lunar Base Alpha, watching as the final touches were placed on humanity's greatest secret. Behind thick, quantum glass viewports, vast construction yards stretched across the far side of the moon, hidden from Earth, and more importantly, from the prying eyes of the Galactic Union. "Admiral Okonkwo has arrived, Doctor," her assistant announced. Miranda nodded, straightening her uniform. She had aged considerably in the 20 years since Project Vanguard began, her once black hair now streaked with silver, face lined with the weight of responsibility. Few humans knew the truth that kept her awake at night. Admiral Tariq Okonkwo entered the command center with the confident stride that had made him legendary among Earth's unified defense forces. His dark skin contrasted with his silver-trimmed uniform, medals of honor adorning his chest. "The final shipment of quantum drives arrived from Mars this morning," he said without preamble. "The flagship Humanity's Will is now fully operational." Miranda allowed herself a small smile. 20 years of sacrifices, of mining operations disguised as commercial ventures, of scientific breakthroughs kept secret from our own people. "Has it been worth it, Admiral?" "That depends entirely on whether we were right," Okonkwo replied gravely. They both knew what he meant. 20 years ago, a deep space listening post had intercepted a transmission never meant for human ears, the Galactic Union's High Council discussing the human problem and the necessity of controlled species management. The euphemisms couldn't disguise their meaning. Humanity's unpredictable nature and rapid advancement represented a potential threat, one the Union intended to neutralize before it fully emerged. Rather than confront the Union, a collection of species thousands of years more advanced than humanity, Earth's leaders had made an unprecedented decision. The nations of Earth, long divided by borders and ideologies, united under a single purpose: survival. Resources were diverted in secret. The brightest minds were recruited to develop technologies that could challenge the Union's supremacy, and all the while, humanity played the role expected of them. Fractious, primitive, and harmless. The Union has noticed something, Miranda said, turning to the surveillance feeds. They sent 2 ships to investigate. We captured them intact. Admiral Okonkwo's expression darkened. Prisoners, being treated according to protocols. But they've seen enough to report back if we release them. Then we've run out of time, the Admiral concluded. Activate the fleet. All of it. Miranda hesitated only briefly before entering her authorization code. Throughout the solar system, hidden shipyards powered up as massive vessels emerged from their concealment. From Jupiter's moons, from the clouds of Venus, from asteroid bases and Mars facilities, humanity's armada revealed itself. On the Galactic Union's capital world of Xanthus Prime, the High Council convened an emergency session. Zix Terrell's usually immaculate scales were dull with stress as he addressed the gathered representatives of 200 species. We have lost contact with all monitoring stations in the Sol sector, he announced. Our intelligence suggests. His words were cut short as the chamber's massive view screens flickered to life, displaying the human face. The woman was middle-aged, her expression stern but composed. I am Director General Miranda Chen of the United Earth Government, she stated without preamble. For decades, the species of the Galactic Union have exploited human colonies, restricted our technological development, and dismissed our petitions for equal representation. We have recently discovered your council's plans for what you euphemistically call controlled species management. Murmurs of shock and denial rippled through the council chamber. We trusted the Union to uphold its founding principles of peaceful coexistence and mutual respect, Chen continued. That trust was misplaced. As we speak, humanity's combined fleet is mobilizing to secure our sovereignty and the safety of our colonies. The image shifted to show a vast armada emerging from hyperspace, sleek, deadly vessels of a design unlike anything the Union had encountered. The ships moved with precision that spoke of advanced AI coordination systems, their hulls gleaming with technology that should have been far beyond human capabilities. By our count, Chen said as the camera pulled back to reveal more and more warships, 700,000 vessels, ranging from frigates to dreadnoughts. We have spent 20 years preparing for this moment, building in secret while you dismissed us as primitive and divided. Zix Terrell found his voice at last. This is madness. The Union has never threatened. We have the transmission. Supreme Commander, Chen interrupted. From the Council session on Stardate 2297-6, your exact words were, the human variable must be removed from the equation before they develop further. Their potential for violence makes them incompatible with galactic civilization. Silence fell across the council chamber. No one, not even Zix Terrell, could deny the truth. We do not desire war, Chen said, her voice softening slightly, but we will not submit to extinction. The human fleet will secure a perimeter around all current and planned human colonial territories. Any Union vessels that cross this boundary will be considered hostile and responded to accordingly. The transmission ended, leaving the council in stunned silence. Ambassador Nelith was the first to speak. How? How did they build such a fleet without our knowledge? Zix Terrell had no answer. The species they had dismissed as primitive had outmaneuvered them completely. Worse, the humans had every right to their anger. The council had indeed planned their eventual subjugation, believing themselves justified in controlling a species they deemed too unpredictable and potentially dangerous. Alert all Union forces, he finally ordered, but instruct them to maintain distance from human territories. We need time to assess this situation. As the council dispersed in panic, Zix Terrell remained, staring at the final frozen image of the human fleet. 700,000 warships, built in secret by a species considered technologically inferior. The implications were staggering. For the first time in the Union's 10,000-year history, they faced an opponent they had never truly understood. And now, perhaps never would. Retribution's echo. Arch-General Volok of the Machina Imperium slammed his cybernetic fist into the strategic holotable, sending ripples through the projected star map. His face, half organic, half machine, contorted with rage as reports of another failed engagement scrolled across his neural interface. Impossible, he growled, his voice amplified by mechanical undertones. 3 Union battle groups decimated without a single human casualty. Their technology should be centuries behind ours. Around the emergency council table, representatives from the Galactic Union's most powerful military forces shifted uncomfortably. Supreme Commander Zix Terrell maintained his composure despite the Arch-General's outburst, though his scales had dulled further with stress. "The humans have been deceiving us," said Ixarethal, Grand Strategist of the Selayan Dominion. Unlike most of her crystalline species, she had modified her translucent body with biological components to better understand organic thinking. While we monitored their official military development, they were building an entirely separate force in secret. "But how?" demanded Volok. "Our surveillance networks cover their entire system." Ambassador Nelith's bioluminescent tendrils pulsed with agitation. "That is precisely what we've been investigating. It appears the humans have developed methods to mask energy signatures and create blind spots in our sensor networks. Their mining operations in the asteroid belt, on Mars, even their lunar colonies, all fronts for military construction." Zix Terrell clicked his mandibles thoughtfully. "More concerning is their technological leap. The weapon systems they've demonstrated. Their efficiency exceeds our most advanced designs." "They've been studying us," Nelith said softly. "Every time we denied them access to Union technology, they were reverse engineering what little they could observe. But instead of merely copying, they've innovated, created hybrid technologies that combine approaches no single Union species would have considered." The strategic holotable updated with new information from the front lines. Human forces had secured all 17 of their colony worlds and established a defensive perimeter exactly as they had promised. They weren't advancing beyond their claimed territories. But any Union force that approached was annihilated with surgical precision. "We must negotiate," suggested Nelith, "before this escalates further." Arch-General Volok's mechanical eye glowed crimson. "Negotiate? With primitives who've committed an act of war against the Union? We should mobilize everything we have and crush this rebellion immediately." "That approach has failed 3 times already," Zix Terrell reminded him. "I sent a request for parley. Director General Chen has agreed to a meeting on neutral ground, the abandoned trading post at Proxima Centauri." Admiral Okonkwo stood on the bridge of the Humanity's Will, watching as his fleet maintained formation around Proxima Centauri. The massive flagship represented humanity's greatest technological achievement, a fusion of stolen alien science and human innovation, powered by an artificial quantum singularity that had taken a decade to perfect. "Director General Chen is ready for transport to the meeting station," reported his executive officer. Okonkwo nodded. "Maintain alert status. If anything feels wrong, extract her immediately." "Yes, sir." The Union delegation has arrived. 1 ship, as agreed. On the view screen, a sleek vessel of distinctly alien design emerged from hyperspace. It made no aggressive moves, maintaining the agreed-upon distance from the human fleet. "Remember when we used to look at ships like that with wonder?" Okonkwo mused. "Before we knew what they really thought of us." His XO, Commander Savannah Rodriguez, nodded grimly. "I was 15 when my parents' research colony on Ta Ceti was accidentally sterilized by Union quarantine protocols. 3,000 scientists and their families wiped out because they were getting too close to understanding quantum field manipulation." Okonkwo placed a hand on her shoulder. "That won't happen again. Not to any human settlement." Miranda Chen had never expected to find herself face to face with the leaders of the Galactic Union. The meeting chamber aboard the neutral station was sparse, a simple table with representatives from both sides. She sat alone, facing 5 alien dignitaries, each from a different species. Supreme Commander Zix Terrell spoke first. Director General Chen, the Union recognizes humanity's decisive demonstration of force. We wish to resolve this conflict peacefully. There is no conflict, Miranda replied calmly, as long as Union forces respect the boundaries we've established. We seek only to protect our people and our right to self-determination. The scale of your fleet suggests offensive capabilities far beyond mere self-defense, observed Grand Strategist Ixora, her crystalline body refracting light in hypnotic patterns. Unnecessary precaution, Miranda countered. Your council has already voted once to remove the human variable. We needed to ensure that any such attempt would be too costly to consider. How did you do it? Ambassador Nelith asked, tendrils swaying with genuine curiosity. Build so much so secretly. Miranda allowed herself a small smile. Humans have always been good at working together when facing an external threat. For the first time in our history, all nations, all corporations, all scientific institutions united with a single purpose. We channeled our resources, our innovation, our determination into survival. And the technology, pressed Arch-General Volek. Your quantum drives alone should have been beyond your capabilities for at least a century. When you're fighting for your species' existence, innovation accelerates, Miranda said simply. Moreover, you consistently underestimated us, assuming our official development reflected our true capabilities. Supreme Commander Zix Terrell's compound eyes studied her intently. What does humanity want now? You have demonstrated your power. You have secured your territories. What are your demands? Recognition, Miranda replied without hesitation. Full membership in the Galactic Union with equal voting rights. An immediate end to all technology restrictions on human worlds. Reparations for the colonies you've destroyed under various pretexts. Yes, we know about all of them. And a binding agreement that no action will ever again be taken against humanity without due process under Union law. Outrageous. Volek's mechanical components whirred with agitation. You threaten us with military action, and then demand benefits. We threaten nothing, Miranda corrected firmly. We have deployed defensive forces after discovering your plan to exterminate us. There's a difference. Zix Terrell made a gesture that Miranda's translator identified as contemplative. Your terms are unprecedented, but perhaps not unreasonable, given the circumstances. Supreme Commander, protested Volek. The Union has existed for 10,000 years, Zix Terrell continued, ignoring the interruption. In that time, we have encountered thousands of species, incorporated hundreds into our civilization. Yet none have challenged us as humanity has. Perhaps that indicates a flaw in our approach, not in yours. 3 standard days later, Admiral Okonkwo watched as Director General Chen returned to the humanity's will. Her expression was unreadable as she stepped onto the bridge. The Union has accepted our terms, she announced, exhaustion evident in her voice. With some modifications, we'll have representation, but full voting rights will be phased in over 5 years. Technology restrictions are lifted immediately. Reparations will be paid, though the amount is still under negotiation. A cheer began to rise from the bridge crew, but Chen raised her hand. This isn't a victory, she cautioned. It's a beginning. The Union fears us now, which isn't the same as respecting us. We'll need to demonstrate that humanity can be a constructive member of galactic society, not just a military power to be reckoned with. Okonkwo nodded slowly. And the fleet remains at full readiness, Chen confirmed. Trust must be earned on both sides. We'll maintain our defensive posture until we're confident the Union will honor its commitments. As the bridge returned to normal operations, Chen moved to the viewport, gazing out at the assembled human armada. 700,000 ships representing humanity's determination to survive in a hostile universe. Do you think they understand yet? Okonkwo asked quietly, joining her. Understand what? What makes humans different? Why we were able to do this when they thought it impossible? Chen considered the question. I think they're beginning to. Zix Terrell said something interesting before we concluded negotiations. He said that in the Union's 10,000 years, they've perfected cooperation between different species, but they've forgotten the power of cooperation in the face of extinction. They've been secure too long. And we haven't. Okonkwo finished the thought. Every achievement in human history came from overcoming challenges, from adapting to survive. Looking out at the fleet, built in secret by a unified humanity that had channeled its legendary competitive drive toward a single goal, Chen nodded. The Union species evolved in different ways, developed different strengths. But none of them evolved quite like we did, with the combination of intelligence, adaptability, and that uniquely human trait of turning impossible odds into motivation rather than defeat. As if to emphasize her point, a new ship emerged from hyperspace, the first vessel completed after the reveal of humanity's fleet. It all bore the emblems of all Earth's nations alongside the newly created insignia of humanity's unified government. The Second Dawn, Okonkwo identified it. First of the ships built openly rather than in secret. Chen smiled, feeling hope for the first time in 20 years. A fitting name. The galaxy underestimated humanity once. They won't make that mistake again. In the vast darkness of space, the human fleet began a new formation, no longer positioned solely for defense, but arranged in a pattern that astronomical observers would later realize formed an ancient human symbol, a phoenix rising from ashes, wings spread wide beneath the stars. Humanity had secured its place among the stars not through conquest, but through the sheer determination to survive. The 700,000 ships hanging in formation were more than weapons of war. They were a promise that humanity would never again allow itself to be vulnerable, never again be dismissed as insignificant. And in the centuries that followed, as humans took their place in the Galactic Union, that promise was remembered by friend and foe alike. They had been underestimated once, but humanity's response had echoed across the stars, reshaping the future of galactic civilization forever.